everybody. We are ready to go. How about that? We're actually even starting on time right today. So I want to welcome everyone to the class. I don't know. We got to have a little bit of a discussion first, I think. Let's see, where did my Zoom just go? Let's see. Oh my goodness. I apologize. That was crazy. I don't know what just happened, but I am back. So we are going to start now. I am not going to touch too much of anything else right now, but we're going to start our Zoom class. And tonight, this is going to be on bone health. Really, really important subject. But before we get into bone health, I would like to see how everybody's doing and hear how everybody's doing. Did you get through the 4th of July okay? Are you feeling a lot of the energy with this powerful, powerful full moon that we are having? We're still having the residual from that. There is a lot going on and outside. So it's even more important to pay attention to what is going on inside of us right now. So here's just a little bit of information. With all the chaos, whatever is happening outside of us, if there is unsettledness inside of you right now, if there is disturbances, if there are such levels of anxiety, everything is going to get amplified, whatever is going on. If you're feeling more focused, if you're feeling more at peace, whatever it is inside you want to keep creating, that is exactly what is going to get amplified. So just to be aware of that, just to be aware of that right now, so whatever it is that, is definitely amping things up for you, sorry about that. I had just had a note here, and my system is having some challenges. I have to make Joe a co-host downstairs, and my computer isn't really doing that. So I'm sorry. I don't know if Joe can hear me. That's okay. I can always start this over again too, to come up and make it a co-host. Something is absolutely, yeah, we'll put that on for now. So let's see. Yeah, we have some really good information, really good.
I think we got it. If you look up, can you all see the screen and me now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's start back from the beginning. Okay. So Joe, will that work to take that slide down and we just go full screen now with everyone? Thank you. Well, hey, we're living during some fun technical times, so back to bone health. All right, let's, Groundhog Day here. Let's try this again. This is just what we do in life. This is a perfect example of what is happening right now. We have to be pretty fluid with things, and can't get too tightened up with different glitches, stuff that's happening. But the level of, I want to just share the awareness of paying attention to what we're doing. We have these energetic bodies, we have these physical bodies, right? Where, talking about everything we are tonight with bone health, it involves, the energy, it involves vibration, as well as, all the other physical components to it. But I would love if anyone can share a little bit about, hey, how has your day been? How has your last few days been? And what have you done to adjust some things a little bit to help yourself with this? And we have Bernie just joined us. Hi, Bernie. We got several on. Matt, you had a really good story earlier. You feel like you want to share that? And again, this is all about raising awareness. That's what we're doing tonight. We're informing you. We're talking about things. We're not giving medical advice. We're just sharing, information that could hugely help.
Well, yeah, I know what we were talking about earlier, and I'll maybe save that for a little bit later. But like, I've just been experiencing, it feels like we've been living in a war zone. Wyoming, our border state, has legal fireworks, and a lot of people from Colorado like to go across the border and bring them back. And the last 48 hours have been just really tough on my nervous system. And so I've just been trying to just manage that. It's fun, it's celebratory, but at the same time, I'm feeling like it's been a lot, and I'm ready for it to be over and for a quieter holiday to be upon us. Actually, let me share with you what we were talking about earlier. It was just on the way, I was dropping off my daughter to work this morning, and I was on a more industrial side of town, and I had taken my foot off the brake for just a second, and lost focus. And I bumped into a tractor trailer, huge, everything's fine, but it woke me up, and it really shook me to be in the now. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's like one of those moments, and you're like, is it bad? Isn't it bad? What do I got to do? Are they okay? Am I okay? And I just had to pull over for a second. Everything was fine. And I just had to kind of be with my thoughts for a moment. And it was like, I was thinking about too much. I was thinking about the shelling that I've been experiencing at home the last couple of nights. And I'm thinking about the future, and I'm thinking, about the past, and I'm not in the now. And whatever that was, it was a gentle, just nudge to just literal nudge to just snap into the now and be in the moment and be aware of exactly what I'm doing. And Aubrey's, I got a new driver. My daughter's a new driver. And it's been really interesting to reflect on like how there's just so much going through my head. And that was just a moment, a call from the universe to say, be in the now, tighten up your own driving a little bit if you can. You're teaching a new driver. Now's a good time to just really be in the now. And that was the point of it. And I'm sorry for rambling, but I'm just thinking like it's really difficult to be in the now. And I'm grateful for a nudge instead of a punch in the face from the universe. And it was enough for me to just say, hey, there's something to this. And that's what I've been feeling the last little bit. Thank you.
I really like what you're saying with that, Matt, about the now, because if we go right now, if we go too much into the future for anything, anybody, everything is changing so rapidly and so much anyways. But the only place we can have our serenity, the only place we can have our peace and joy and pay attention to our intuition, and pay attention to the messages that we're receiving, is in the now. What we focus on grows. Okay. What do we want to grow just in the now? And it's being here in this class, it's being, and that idea of paying attention. There are a lot of situations where people are not thinking clearly. People are feeling a little crazy, a little nutty. It's escalating. The reactions, that is really escalating, is really increasing, and we have to become aware of that. That's okay. You could come back. We have to become aware of that. We're living in a time we're trying to fix our system here.
We'll have to wait until she does it and then I can fix it.
Okay. And so this is what's happening right now, is we have to think about what is most important right now. So what people are doing is they're isolating more. They are getting more into fear. They're getting scared. Okay, what's going to happen here with our food? What's going to happen here with our gasoline? There are places where things are, there are a lot more shortages happening. Where, how is this stress level? How is this all affecting our health? And it certainly is, it certainly can, but that's what we're going to talk about tonight. What are some things you can do to truly, truly help yourself, okay, to help your bones to be stronger and your cells in your body. We have 206 bones in our body. Okay. Granted, some people may have a little less than that and more. And without all these bones, you wouldn't be able to stand up. Think about it. Think about even the lungs and all the rib cages. The bones protect organs in the body too. That's fascinating. We look how we are created from God. Oh my gosh, it's a genius to put this body together. Just like when some people have amputations done, the brain, their whole being still has a memory. It still has a memory that limb was there, and it will act as if it's there. It will have the pain as if it's there. Bone carries so much memory as well. Bone marrow has so much memory. Now, here's some very interesting statistics that I was actually blown away. I looked at what was already out there with osteoporosis and bone loss from 2 years ago, but I found some statistics that is current. 54 million adults in the US have low bone mass. This is massive. 1 out of 5 adults have osteoporosis or a lack of bone mass. 19 billion per year have fractures coming from osteoporosis. This is huge. Okay, I don't care what age you're at. It can come in all ages. The area that is increasing has to do with young people, especially around the age of 30, 35 to 40. That is really increasing. This is a big concern because bone is just so important to the rest of the body. It's health state, health condition to the rest of the body. And when we are experiencing a lot of toxicity, and I'm going to go into all the other influences, because this is not that complicating for anyone on the call here or on the class here to understand this. There are simple solutions. So maybe we could not, yeah, that's great. You know, risk factors, what is affected by all these risk factors, how it affects our body. But I got to share a story. Could we just put a slide on hold for a minute? I want to maybe go back to central screen. No slides. Okay, great. So I want to share a story with you, and this is my story. Okay, that I was born with a degenerative bone condition. So at a young age, at a very young age, I was in the hospital off and on with shattered discs. I've had multiple discs removed in my spine. So I had nerves that were severed. I had many spinal taps when I was younger, severe rheumatoid arthritis. So the level of inflammation was really high in my body, severe constipation, which constipation goes right along with losing bone mass, by the way, no matter what age you're at. Okay. And as I learned and got into natural health and healing, there were a lot of changes I made. I had to make changes with my nutrition, changes with gut health, which is a big part of what we promote and teach at the company, Miracles of Health. Because if there is a lot of toxins in the body, it affects the lower back, it affects the spine, it affects all the bones in the body. So as time went on, things continued to progress. And I eventually wore a brace, a back brace. That's how I was able to get out of bed. And I became very addicted to muscle relaxants and pain pills. I was very dependent on them because that was how I was able to survive and how I was able to function. And then there's a story that comes after this, a very inspiring story of what happened. But I'm sharing this with you from a physical standpoint of when 6 months after I started making drastic changes to my nutrition, the awareness to my health, the awareness to, what I was selecting. I started doing cleansing. I started doing fasting. And after those 6 months, I was permanently out of the brace. All the nerves that were severed from surgery grew back. It was so life-changing. And then down the road, I had an experience that it was very powerful. This is when I started getting more into the energy and understanding the energy. We're not just these physical beings. We have such high voltage, okay? Or you can have low voltage, but a lot of voltage. And I was tapping into all this voltage to help my body heal. And then I had an experience during the night, and I prayed, and I believe in miracles and I believe in healings. I had a healing that all my bone marrow was replaced with new bone marrow. And ever since then, it's so rare I have any back issues whatsoever. It's just been amazing. So the body can regenerate. I read also, I read so many wonderful case studies. This 79-year-old lady, she had osteoporosis for years and years, When she started changing her nutrition, she did intermittent fasting and exercise. Her osteoporosis was completely gone. Okay, that's amazing. And I just want to say what we're sharing tonight. I'm not making any medical claims. I'm not telling you to stop any medication, stop going to your doctor. I'm just raising awareness because this is a rampant, its own, I don't want to say that word, but it's its own thing. Okay, let's just say that that's really spreading. So here's what's easy for people. It's easy to say, okay, I'm going to go get a test. This is what's going to happen. I get these results and it shows I have osteoporosis. And so I'm considering taking some medications and there may be a time and a place for it. I'm just saying, here's going to be information you might really consider before doing it, because we're still not getting to the root cause of why is all this happening. For the most part, here's the American way. We spend the first half of our life putting this and that into our body, and we have this habit and we have this addiction and we have this lifestyle, and not really thinking about when you finally turn 65 or maybe 40, 45, not even thinking. And then comes midway through our life, this is starting to happen. This is starting to happen. Then we're thinking about, now I got to reverse this. Okay, how do we reverse this? Okay, I think I'll just take, this is easier if I can just go ahead and take something, then I don't have to put all that work into it. And here's where I say 3%. I don't think it's more than that. I think it's 3% of the population will want to study, they want to learn, they want to get in touch with their body, they want to connect with, wait a minute, these genes, did my mom have it? My dad have it? How many generations did this pattern go back? What's the lifestyle changes to be made? What's the state of inflammation in the body? How am I digesting? All of this has a direct impact on our bones. If a person's pH in their stomach, if they are not producing enough enzymes and they don't have the right acid in their stomach, they will not get the nutrients out of their food that needs to go to the bones. If there are levels of inflammation, and this could include diabetes, it could include a whole variety of chronic conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, if there's levels of inflammation going on in the body, it is compromising your bone density. I can guarantee you that for sure. Okay, this is not that complicating. This is pretty basic, but critical, very, very important. The number one robber, I'll call it a robber, that robs the nutrients out of our bones and minerals out of our bones. You have to have minerals in your bones, and we're going to come to that pretty soon. But it's stress. It's stress, and it's amplifying right now. It is hugely amplifying. That's why people are losing more muscle mass. Okay, they don't have the density in their bones right now. When we're in this state, it's hard to, when you're in a place of where you're feeling hopeless. Let's just say that when you get a little lackadaisical about, okay, what food choices am I going to make today? Is it nutrient rich? Probably not. If there is higher amount of processed food, sugar, and gluten, your bone mass is being compromised. You want to weaken your, the health state of your bones, continue to have sugar, continue to have more carbohydrates, continue to have a lot of processed foods. This is just cause and effect, cause and effect. If we choose to do this, these are going to be the consequences. To lose bone mass, it doesn't come overnight. It takes a while for this to break down, unless there is some critical situation, or unless there's a birth defect, or maybe I'm not talking about certain diseases children can have, I'm talking just generally overall where the majority of us probably fit in. So this level of stress, and I'm going to ask Jo to talk about this a little bit, because she's a teacher at the local college here with lots of students every year with, I don't know how many years she's been teaching, maybe 30. It's incredible. And so she's the head of the wellness department at the college in Fort Collins. It's just, and the level that she teaches to try to help students understand, but has a wealth of information. And Jo, I'd like to, you share a little bit about like the impact you've known that this specifically does to the body. And since you're such an amazing crystal lady herself, is there a crystal or two that does help with your bones? Because we talk very holistic here about what really helps supports and what do we know that doesn't support?
Well, I'll speak from my science geek side and then my little more of my woo side, I'll say. But basically, one of the things that we've been researching a ton this last several decades is psychoneuroimmunology, so PNI. PNI is pretty much what they're saying in some ways is the new empirical evidence or the proof of the mind-body connection. And that the proof that stress is the leading cause of dis-ease or disease in the body, all different types. And they've shown this because when we're in a state of chronic stress, when that sympathetic nervous system continues to fire and will not shut off, it's there and it was put in there magically, like you said, by a divine source, perhaps, like when we needed as Cro-Magnon man and woman to run away from T-Rex, we could run until we got to our cave and that would go off. And then as soon as we were safe in our cave and they couldn't come in, it would click off and the parasympathetic system would kick back in, rest and digest. And the body starts to do what it needs to do to heal, etc. Well, when you're in a constant state of that sympathetic system and that stress becomes chronic, and it's like trying to hit the alarm clock, like you said, Groundhog Day, you can't hit the alarm clock off and it's constantly going and you've got cortisol pumping through your veins, the things that you need when you need to run away or you need to fight, or that fight flight system is important. But when you don't need it, and it's just because your stress level is so high, that inflammation takes over. And when inflammation starts to take over, along with things like the gonadal hormone and several other things, and it's in a constant flux through the body, then what happens is all that inflammation and all those other things become so imbalanced. Your alkaline system to your acidic system, everything takes a hit because it's not turning off and you're not getting into that rest and digest. So even if you are managing to eat at that time, and you know what happens when you're stressed. I know what happens when I'm stressed. I multitask. I'm sitting at the computer grading and eating something fast, or I'm eating in between classes or something. I'm not taking the time to plan a meal, to enjoy a meal, to slowly eat the meal, to allow the meal to digest and plan ahead that I'm eating something healthy. And so even when that happens, then that state of, stress like that throws everything else, like I said, into imbalance. And PNI has basically now shown that. The research that started back in the 90s that has now hit full force in this last decade, especially, is changing the face of health and medicine as we know it, which is why now a lot of traditional medicine practices or medical schools are now integrating an integrative health, a functional medicine health, lifestyle medicine, looking at all these influences. And lifestyle medicine, that's its main thing. Functional looks at the root cause. So that's its baby, and it spends tons of time on history and genetics. Lifestyle medicine looks at behavioral and lifestyle choices. You know, are you stressed? Therefore, are you eating poorly? Are you picking up habits like, you know, something to curb the stress? Or are you, if, you know, smoking, and are you smoking more? Or I mean, think about when you smoke, it's one thing, but when you're stressed, you know, and you're kind of just not even paying attention to it. Are you drinking more alcohol and those type of things? Are you looking for other behaviors that will help numb the stress or the pain? And then other behavioral and lifestyle choices. Are you getting exercise? Are you walking? Are you getting up off your desk? Think of us, how many of us since COVID are glued to the screen in front of us? You know, do you get up? I mean, my Fitbit tells me every 10 till the hour, it's time to move. How many times do I listen to it and get up and move? So all those things that they say pile into, you know, these things that have now, as Judy pointed out, these statistics are overwhelming, and osteoporosis is probably one of many things. We've seen increases in type 2 diabetes, increase obviously in obesity, increase in cancers. And again, think of how you're eating, what you're not eating, what you're not, when you're not moving, how much are you sleeping? Is it decent sleep, recuperative sleep? Are you, you know, drinking 3 glasses of wine just to fall asleep? You know, all those type of things. So that's kind of where the impact of stress, I think, comes in. And like you said, it impacts every system in our body, the neuromuscular system, the skeletal system, the respiratory system, the reproductive system. I mean, you name it. The endocrine system for sure, hormones out of whack when you're, you know, in stress. So what you can do is start, as I'll leave to the expert, look at your digestion, look at what you're eating. Like she said, get rid of the processed foods, the processed sugars especially. And then look at some mindfulness techniques, look at stress reduction techniques. We all have stress in our lives. We all are balancing, a lot of us, work and family and relationships and you name it, and deal with finances and all of that. What can you do to build in some things? How can you learn how to mindfully eat? How can you learn to take 10 minutes every morning and every evening to do a short meditation, or listen to a guided meditation, or do some breath work or some yoga stretches? Those 10 minutes, they say at the beginning of the end, are huge. They can make a huge difference. Like you said, there are things that will actually start to slow down as they're, rather than degenerating farther. And in some cases start to reverse. They've seen things with a lot of now senior centers incorporating in yoga and mindfulness, but yoga, even in chair yoga, and they're seeing people, their falls are less. So they're not falling, they're not breaking those bones. And then, like I said, on kind of my fun side, yes, looking at what you eat, but even, like I said, some stones that you want to carry or things that you want to hold while you're meditating. Howlite or white buffalo turquoise, probably one of the best for stones, or for bones, sorry. Lepidolite, okay. Violet lepidolite, again, great for addictions, but also great for bone health. Malachite, one of the most healing stones out there. So there's so many different ones, and or just stress relieving stones that make you feel good or that soothe you when you hold them. Rose quartz, blue lace agate, all of these that are, anxiety reducing, etc. And sometimes people, again, from the class we had a few weeks ago on crystals, will say, okay, Joe, you're the science geek, and yet you talk about crystals like they're real. Well, they are real to me. They are things from the earth. And even if it is partly placebo, even if it means when you look at this beautiful stone in your left hand, because you take in your energy, but you also give it that intention to say, the stone looks, soothing. It feels good in my hand. I can hold it and breathe. And I have little kids that will now, their parents, not real little, so that they're not eating it, but they'll fall asleep with a stone in their hand to help keep away the bad dreams. It is one of those things that when you put that energy or that intention in it, I think it helps. So it can't hurt you. Let's put it that way. There's no contraindications. There's no negative side effects unless you swallow it. Other than that, there's not. So I think we can look at so many things. And like I said, I'll let Judy talk about some of her specialties in terms of, like I said, the digestion system and what we put in our bodies is huge, both on the positive side and the negative side of what we're using. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. I like that a lot. That's really helpful. And we're addressing also the importance of prevention, being prepared, prevention. It takes education. The highest form of consciousness is truth. And that's what we're doing. We're sharing true principles so we can stay conscious and connect into mindfulness, what we are doing, how to help ourselves. it's not too late. If you're in your 80s, it's not too late. If you're, and you're not too young to be aware of what this is. You don't always feel when your bones do not have good density, right? People go, they get tested, but how do they know this eventually in life is when they have a fall, when they have a fracture, and the bone just splits, just breaks. A good friend of mine, we knew each other growing up, and this is probably maybe 5 years ago or so. Her mother fell. Her hip just totally shattered. And then what they found out inside was that she was so full of cancer. Like a lot of times we're masking things and we're just ignoring too. We're not taking the action and being proactive to work preventively. It's a lot less stressful when we could take those measures. But in reality, the state of the world, the state of where things are at right now, people are having a hard time. They feel like they're stuck in quicksand. They're stuck. So I want to encourage you, think about the stuff we're sharing tonight. If you can say, I'm going to make a change, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's not that big, but do something more towards that goal to strengthen your bone mass.
Judy, can I say one more thing with your, yeah, you're right on. The thing with, even with PNI and some of the science that's come out and some of the things that they've looked at of what they can do to try to offset this, or like you said, even slow it down, is self-care. They say self-care is the best form of healthcare. So before you're in a state where you're finding out something or something happens, what can you do to start preventing it from the get-go? How can we start teaching children, which we are starting to, things like mindfulness and emotional regulation, good eating habits, things that you can do for yourself, that we can empower myself. We might feel we're in quicksand, but we still have that twig to grab. If we think, I can start changing my diet, I can start doing 10 minutes in the morning of waking myself up slower, or doing a guided meditation or something, or reading inspirational material or scripture, whatever works for you. And 10 minutes before I go to bed, so that regardless of what my day was, the last 10 minutes that I have before I'm hopefully falling asleep will be on a positive note. And therefore that will impact your sleep. So little things like that, again, that don't cost anything extra, that you can do for yourself, your own self-care, which is now a big part of what I teach in my program, and that I'm being asked to go in. I go into the dental cohort every year, the nursing cohort every year, because it's not part of their curriculum. And that's why we're seeing burnout and so many things happen. And when we have a crisis like we just went through with the pandemic, the word you didn't want to say, that we lost so many people because they weren't prepared, not that they weren't skilled, not that they weren't whatever, but the intense stress that they did not know how to deal with, or the fact that they were already not in good shape. Like they say, if you want to see some of the most unhealthy people, sadly, go find a break area behind a hospital. They're out there chain smoking and pounding the coffee or the Diet Pepsi on their breaks because they're so exhausted and so fatigued, and nobody taught them things that they should be doing differently, that they could be doing every day on their shift, knowing that nursing and medical other practitioners, it is incredibly stressful, but what could they be doing to offset that stress? What could they be doing to keep that cortisol more in control? Yes, when that emergency comes in, it's going to snap in for a minute, but how can they turn it back off? Again, self-care, prevention.
I love that. Let's go ahead to our next slide. Thank you, Joe. That's very, very good. Okay. Now, these are some risk factors that are known to weakening bone mass in the body. And there's a picture of what normal bone mass would look like. and what it looks like with osteoporosis. Age and gender, women tend to be more prone to osteoporosis for sure. The age, generally 50 and above. It used to be 65, but it's 50 and above. All of this is changing because the younger people are also experiencing this too. Sedentary lifestyle. There should be a big fat star right by this one. That is probably the most influential factor that is affecting people's bone mass, is sitting long periods of time at the desk, sitting long periods of time watching TV, just sedentary. Okay.
Yeah, starting with children. And that's part of why the age is coming down for all these children are sitting in front of video screens and phones and whatever. They're not getting out and playing like I used to, as soon as I got home from school.
Wow. That's a good point right there. Any of these, as I'm reading through and we're talking about them, pick one that you can relate to and say, I am going to change this starting today. Just look at this as if there's one that really sticks out to you that you would say, that's a real red flag for me. I'm really going to focus and improve working on this for the next 30 days. Chronic stress and inflammation. This is one of the main root causes right there. It's just, and it's a habit. We get into such a habit of chronic stress, but what will come from chronic stress is inflammation throughout the body. The consumption of the standard diet, the American diet. So it's like way too much processed food, way too much sugar, way too much gluten. And it's the quality today we have to be especially concerned about. Leaky gut and toxins. I could not turn around my own bone condition years ago if I did not clean out the toxins and in my gut and in my whole body. When you start cleaning out the toxins in your gut, you're cleaning out the liver, the colon, the lungs, the skin, the gallbladder. I mean, toxicity and the accumulation of toxins today, it's airborne, it's in our water, it's in our food. This thing of being able to be completely toxin free is I don't think it's even possible, but it is possible every day to take your Pure Cleanse, take your Puricite to start releasing the toxins out of the body. Parasites are just on the move. They're just, it's rampant. But again, 2 reasons why the body gets out of balance: toxicity and deficiency. Too much of something, which is toxins, not enough of something else, which is deficiency. We bring those two into balance more and more, and this is a practice. It's not a theory that we're going to talk about for the next 10 years. It's an actual practice of action to be able to take the steps a little bit every day of how to reverse this. Poor digestion. That's where we extract the nutrients off our foods to support the cells and the bones and every organ of our body. If there is poor assimilation, poor gut health, then you're going to start losing bone mass. Environmental exposure. And again, this is what is put out into the environment. It could be pesticides. It could be what's put in the air. It could be maybe shampoo. It could be deodorant. It could be shaving cream. Think of all the things that you put even on your body. It could be plastics. Oh my gosh. This was probably a few months ago. I was in a store and it advertised plastic underpants. all made out of plastic. Oh my goodness. But we are so exposed to plastics. That's a toxin for our body. Genetic and family history. Look at what has been in the genes for generations. Can you interrupt it? Yes. Can you do your best to reverse it? It might not be 100%, or maybe it will be 100%. But that's a factor. If I come from a family, and again, I'm saying this only because I look at the opportunity, really, really weak genes, and they don't live to be very old. And I'm with a partner, Oren, who he comes from a family of genes that are, oh my goodness, amazing, amazing. That makes a difference, what your genetics are. But it's also an opportunity to help reverse and heal whatever those genetics are, because that helps our lineage. That helps our lineage going forward and backwards. Hormone imbalance, big one. If your thyroid is, you have low thyroxine, it's out of balance, it's more hypo, it's hyper, it doesn't matter. It's going to affect bone mass. Fungus in the body, fungus and mold in the body adds to a tremendous amount of inflammation, as well as it affects bone mass. It's amazing, all the different foods, or when the food sets too long in your stomach before it gets digested, what starts to happen? Fermentation. Okay. And again, we're hitting a level of toxicity. Here's where you want to make sure you have a good probiotic as well. That helps gut health. And our lifestyle choices. The quality of our life is also depending on our lifestyle choices. Could be where you live. It could be what you take in for yourself, who you surround yourself with. It all has a real strong impact. Now I want to give you some options as far as what are some of the supplements that you might want to take. When there is low bone mass in the body, you are deficient in minerals. You are deficient in minerals. The bones have to have minerals in order for them to strengthen. And the vegetal silica converts naturally into calcium, which helps with the bone mass. When the body doesn't have proper amount of minerals, calcium in particular, it's deficient. It can't get it from the bones. Nothing's there. It will just spill out into the kidneys, and that's pretty common. People or doctors will say they've got too much calcium in their kidneys, and usually goes along with osteoporosis. Well, the body is already so depleted from the stress, from the inflammation. And so we want to build that back up through these two products. I would say is very, very key to helping your bone mass, to helping every organ of your body. Magnesium is absolutely essential. When you put the magnesium and the vitamin D together, and especially, well, let's talk about the K2, vitamin K2, that helps the calcium to hold on in the cells much better. It helps it to absorb, it helps it get utilized. K2 plays a really important factor in that. And the vitamin D also helps your body, what do I want to say, metabolize magnesium. All of these are so important. The alpha lipoic acid, and again, all these are all minerals, okay, that really, really help the body to utilize and increase their bone mass. the omega-3 fatty acids, and what are other means to prevention. We talked about reducing the toxins. Consume nutrient-dense foods. Think of that, nutrient-dense foods add to dense bone mass. Less sugar, less processed foods, a lot less carbs, good quality protein, but consume nutrient-dense foods. You may add extra protein, regular walking, weight resistant. Whether you're working on, I know Paul's on the call, he does construction, he does a lot of physical work. There's, if you're not doing a lot of physical labor, on the village with the Hopis, they do, it's very physical. A lot of the stuff they do is just, you know, that strengthens bone mass. Maybe you're going to lift some weights. Maybe you're going to do some walking with some light weights. Move the body. The more you circulate the blood, you're circulating the nutrition, the nutrients that could get absorbed into the bone tissue. And the thing that it is really, really good with the minerals go right into the bones and the silica. It's not going to go to the soft tissue, and it's not going to make false calcium deposits, and it won't do that. It can't. The silica, you can never get bone spurs. You can't accumulate calcium from silica. Silica converts naturally into calcium, but it's usable calcium that the body recognizes. It's just amazing how a lot of this works together. And you know, I want to encourage anyone here, look, are there some items that you'd like to take, that you're willing to make some changes and say, if you have a lack of bone mass, could you do some things that would increase that today? Yes, you just got a lot of information. And I just want to say, we'll go back to full screen now. This is not complicating. This is not complicating. This is simple. And we're all doing our very best right now with who we are, you know, what we have. And hey, I admit today I was questioning, can I even do this Zoom class? I felt like, holy cow, the energy was so thick, was so heavy. And oh my gosh, it was a lot, you know, to do this and to just, it's taken everything. If you can hear me say that, to stay focused, to stay in the flow, no matter what, you know, I just want to say, if I can do it, you can do it. We all can do it. And that's what we're here together, sharing with each other, you know, being real about it. I don't want to act like, oh, you know, everything is just so fine and dandy and I'm living in the cloud and I'm on top of the world, you know, and living my dream today, you know, but I am living my dream in the sense I get to teach, I get to be around these wonderful people, all of you, you know, we get to be real, we get to share, we get to hear what's helping one and another, you know. This is really, really important that we have this family and that we have this gathering together. And there are days it's going to be harder than other days. But most important is we look up, we don't look down. We don't look back, okay? And we're not going to wait, you know, for some future day of things will be better only if we could get to this point. We got to deal with where we're at now and make the very best of it. And I love the beginning where Joe put together the slide, the serenity prayer, because there's a lot of letting go right now, day to day to day. If we don't let go, and we hold on to everything, and we're going to hold on to that bad feeling, and we're going to hold on to that bad feeling, then there goes more of the anxiety. There goes more of the inflammation. We know how to create inflammation. I know, I do. Okay. I know how to create, a body that is kind of running south, versus, but we're talking about what are the steps we can take to invest in our health, our mind, our well-being that strengthens the bones. Now, here's where I just want to make sure you understand. In the center of bone is bone marrow. Bone marrow is where our life force resides. Our life force, our energy, we are energy beings. If you are unhappy in who you are and what you're doing, you know what? You're going to be depleting your bone marrow of nutrients, and especially minerals. If you are holding on to a lot of pain or resentment or whatever it is, if you're not going to release it, let it go, but create more of what you want, you'll continue to carry that level of pain, but it's not necessary. We can make every imaginable change that we can imagine. And that's the beauty. And that's why I like doing the classes and be able to share with you. There's hope. There's so much hope. And there's so much healing that you can experience right now and that you can embrace and you can have for yourself. Be open and be willing to change. Whatever it is, study, be open, share with each other, whatever it is, and we can make a difference. Miracles aren't going away, by the way. If anything, they're getting stronger and stronger by the day. So why not join in and be a part of that for yourself? You are all magnificent beings. How we were created, the creation that's in us. There isn't anything we can't do and do it better. So I want to thank all of you for being on the call. And if there, anybody at the end, if anybody wants to share anything, please feel free. Welcome to hear any comments. And I'm just glad we were able to get this Zoom and we got this class going. Pretty amazing. Oh my gosh. And I look forward to seeing you all next week as well. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.